My girlfriend, 25, and I, 28, were together for 7 years when I decided to end things. 5 of those years were long distance, and 2 were living together. I managed to get us a place together because I work hard. I have relatively normal hours, but my job does exhaust me. So she started complaining that I didn't give her enough attention, or when I did it was without passion, as she put it. She's an egocentric Leo, so compliments and attention fuel her reason for living. I was kind of laid back and didn't feel the need to repeat compliments she'd heard recently. Pair that with how exhausted I could be sometimes, and I understand why she wasn't content. She'd be on her phone, texting away, and for a while, that became the norm. I tried to get her off it sometimes, but didn't have the will to argue when she refused. Suddenly, her neglectfulness stopped entirely. It was like a major U-turn in her behavior. She started questioning how she could be so lucky to have a man like me. She said she wanted to have my babies and give me all the good things I deserve in life. Talk about odd. I played along and assured her that she deserved a happy life with a man that knew how to handle her. She liked that, I guess. The only 2 reasons she ever gave me for her leaving the house were that she picked up a shift at work or was going to visit her longtime childhood female friend. One day, she went to her female friend's house and left her laptop at home. I opened it, even though I never did before, and easily found a document she typed out. It was kind of like journal entries. She mentioned feeling guilty about a fling she had with someone not so long ago. Apparently, it lasted a month, and she was heavily considering sleeping with him again. She would go back and forth between loving her boyfriend, me, and wanting to sleep with this man again, because she thought he was so cute for being unable to resist her. She typed that he'd left his girlfriend for her, so that she might be persuaded to keep seeing him, but added that she couldn't be with him because he was a cheater. The irony of that was comical. Needless to say, my blood was boiling. I chucked her computer on the couch and took a walk around the neighborhood to gather my thoughts. We had only been able to move in together because I got us the place. Otherwise, she'd still be living at her parents' house. Even though I was working a tiring job, that's no excuse for my girlfriend to cheat on me, right? I questioned everything and decided that there was no reason I deserved this. She demanded too much attention and only acted on her selfish desires. I could never trust her again and heavily suspected she cheated on me during the long-distance phase of our relationship. I went back to her laptop and found chat logs archived on her computer. She was talking to 2 men beside me during the time we were together. They talked about the sex they had and arrangements for the next time they could have sex. She juggled all 3 of us, claiming we were each her only lover. She used her parents as an excuse for being unable to meet up sometimes. Well, if I had any doubt before, it was certainly abolished now. I knew I needed to kick out this woman, or should I say girl. I sent her a text while she was still with her friend that said we were done and one of us was going to move out. Since she couldn't afford the rent, I took the liberty of packing her clothes and taking them back to her parents' house. I was surprised it took her so long to reply. It just added to my suspicion. She wrote in all caps, "Why?" followed by other questions. By the time she started freaking out, I'd already taken her stuff to her parents. I didn't knock or anything, just left her stuff there all over her parents' lawn. They lived close, so after 2 trips I was done and called her parents to let them know what was going on. Then I called my mom and told her everything. She was very consoling, assured me I was doing the right thing, and couldn't risk starting a family with this woman. She fueled me enough to change the locks on my place and continue resisting the urge to respond to my ex. Most of the messages she sent me were in caps and sounded like she was ashamed. She said her parents were trying to come pick her up because she, apparently, couldn't handle life as an adult yet. This amused me. Then her parents texted me, asking if I knew where she was because she wasn't at her friend's house. Hearing that, I assumed she was with the guy she mentioned on her computer. At this moment, I remembered we were still on the family tracking app, so I shared her location with her parents. It's really funny to me that she also forgot about the tracking app because she was so pissed in her next message to me. She said I had a lot of nerve to tell her parents where she was and wanted to know why I insisted on ruining her life. Then her dad sent me the best text ever. A photo of her looking extremely pissed and uncomfortable beside some loser slob. Apparently, her parents told the guy that up until today, she was living with another man and in a relationship. When he heard this, he said goodbye to her and walked away. He didn't want to be with a cheater either. So my ex returned to her parents' home with trash bags full of her clothes and crap all over the porch because she's a stupid girl that demanded way too much attention. She still doesn't earn enough to live on her own, and it seems to have become common knowledge in our area to avoid a romantic relationship with her. Even if she finds someone to reel in, they don't last long because her expectations are still way too high. None of this matters to me though. I'm quite happy in the dating scene and continue saving money for my future wife and me. Wow, OP. It's a shame so much time was spent on this girl, but it's lucky you found out when you did that she wasn't worth it. Some girls take longer to mature into women because they have to become selfless and acknowledge that the world doesn't revolve around them. Relationships are full of sacrifices from both parties, and for anyone to assume they don't need to be there in support of their partner is a fool. She did not try to think about you or how demanding your job was. Instead, she was absorbed in what she thought she deserved and wasn't receiving. All she had to do was take a step back and realize she had a place to live because of you. You were working a difficult job, and relationships require two self-sacrificing people to blossom. It doesn't seem like she's ready to commit to a permanent relationship, and it was extremely wise of you to call it quits as soon as you found out she cheated. I wish you the very best of luck and hope you are able to heal. Now for today's second story. At the time I'm writing this, our daughter is 1 year old. Just after she was born, my wife and I had been together for 6 years. She was being super sweet towards me, and I finally joked with her and said if there was anything to tell me she could just say it. She replied by saying it was really bad. My stomach flipped and my heart started pounding as she confessed there was something she needed to tell me. She asked if I remembered when she was distant a few years ago and swore at the time that she didn't sleep with anyone else. Of course I did. Well, she did sleep with someone else. 4 times with one man. I had a very stern look on my face and said I needed time to process this. 2 days passed and she told me she needed to read me a letter she wrote. She reads to me that she had a 3-year-long affair that ended 2 years ago. I looked at our newborn daughter in disbelief. Of course, with the math she was giving me, our daughter was mine, but now I looked at my wife and couldn't feel the same about her. She was routinely sleeping with another man for 3 years of our relationship. I can't tell you the amount of pain I felt at this devastation. My world has been crumbling ever since this news. Anyone who's been through this or going through this, I am there with you. Let my experience give you strength because I truly empathize and care about you. I decided to meet with this man and talk to him about it without my wife's knowledge. He agreed, and we each brought a friend in case anything got out of hand. He was more than willing to share the events with me and assured me that he felt extremely bad about it. At the time, my wife lied to him and told him she was nearly divorced. She didn't tell me that part. He said it started off slow at first, but eventually she started taking the subway every Friday to meet up with him and have sex. She told me that was the day she was helping her mother with difficult household chores. He said they hadn't spoken these past 2 years, and he didn't plan on ever speaking to her again. I returned home brokenhearted, just like I had been since my wife told me this news. She noticed me sitting in the car and asked if I'd come in. I told her I needed some time apart and left to stay at my dad's house. She was devastated. Like I said, this was weeks after she gave birth to our daughter, and the previous 2 years of our relationship were blissful. She became committed and caring toward me, like she only needed to decide she was going to be a good wife, and instantly became one. Something changed within her, and she decided to dedicate herself to me. At the time, I thought it was a counseling miracle, but now I know it was because she got tired of hiding her secret life, and her lover discovered she wasn't single. I don't believe I can forgive her for this. Had I known this was happening back then, I would have left her. It's so unfair that she waited until after our relationship became great and we had a child together before telling me she had an affair for 3 years. She also told me that every day since it ended, she's lived with guilt and agony. She never felt like she deserved to have me take care of her because she had this dark secret. Now that she finally told me the truth and we had a child together, she felt like our wonderful ever after could begin. Well, she was wrong. Now it was time for her consequences. After I got settled at my dad's and told him what was going on, he took me to his friend and colleague, who happened to be an excellent lawyer. Due to her affair, I wouldn't have to pay her alimony, and since I had a decent income and owned the house, I could get at least 50% custody of our daughter. It's ironic because I told my wife I didn't want either of us to become a person with children from different marriages. She failed me. She failed herself. She failed our daughter. This is the most difficult thing I've ever had to do, but I know for a fact that years from now, her affair will haunt me. How could I be so naive to believe that she wouldn't just cheat on me again? She's done it to me before, and I refuse to become a paranoid and controlling husband. I needed a fresh start with a woman that aims to find and be with one man that will care for her and love her in marriage until the world ends. I won't spend my time anxiously trying to forget that at one point I shared my wife's body with a stranger. I hope this gives people strength and inspiration to carry on even when it feels impossible. I've gone on a few dates, and that was a nice reminder that there are lots of fish in the sea. While the divorce was happening, my wife finally started feeling the consequences of her actions so long ago. She was becoming a single mother to a newborn baby and had to move into her parents' house. Her relationship status changed when I changed mine, so all her friends and family wanted to know what happened. I updated my Facebook, so that's where they heard about her affair years ago and about how I refused to stay married to an unfaithful wife. Everyone started telling her how disappointed they were in her and how they couldn't believe she chose to ruin the stable relationship she had with a good man. She could hardly stand it. Each time I saw her, so we could exchange our daughter, she looked tired and sad. I reminded her that she needed to stay strong and keep moving forward for the sake of our daughter. No matter how she felt, our baby needed a mother, and this was her chance to care about someone else more than herself. I think she actually followed my words of wisdom. Wow, OP. I am so sorry you've had this devastating occurrence in your life. What you've endured isn't easy. Don't ever blame yourself for your wife's destructive betrayal. It's not wrong of you to choose divorce, even though your marriage improved after the infidelity. Like you said, if you knew the truth sooner, you wouldn't have stayed with her. Maybe that's why she didn't tell you, because she wanted another chance to stay with you and evade consequences. Even though your daughter is in the picture now, it's better for you to be emotionally stable in her future years than to endure a relationship with betrayal and secrets at its start. You'll have less resentment and feel much more at peace. I wish you and your daughter a good life with hope and stability. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. Take care.